Good morning. So today I want to share with you something that is new to Google Classroom called Practice Sets. This is a beta option that has been added in, and if you have your Chrome up to date, you should have access to it. So before we begin, make sure that your Chrome is updated. If you need help with that, you can stop in the Media Center and check with us, but I'm going to roll on to Google Classroom here. So you'll need to go to your Google Classroom to access these practice sets. And the practice sets are just going to be a way for you to kind of enhance your formative assessment and also give your students some more practice. When you first go into Google Classroom, you should see up at the top practice sets, but if you don't, you can click on your three little lines over on the left and go down to practice sets. And what this allows you to do is create a bank of questions that you can use for not necessarily a grade, but for extra practice for your students. So I'm going to click on Create. And we'll just call this the rock cycle. It's one I've kind of been working with right now. And you'll see that you start off with, just like with a Google form, you have where you can type in a question. So we'll just say, granite. And we can make it a short answer, we can make it a paragraph, multiple choice, or multiple select. I'll just leave this as short answer for now and type in my answer. And what's really cool about the practice sets is if you come down here and see where it says skills, it says see suggested, it will automatically give you something that they think that you're working on, which I am. I'm working on the types of rocks based on characteristics. Over here, you'll see that there is a little light bulb. In just a moment, when we see the student view, you'll see that this is a place where there are different resources that Google has pulled in to help your students. So if they're struggling with the question and they don't know it, instead of you having to pull resources for them to help them, Google has done that for you. And you can have, of course, duplicate or delete. You can also add in different content, things like videos, just like you would with a Google form. So scrolling down, you can add new questions just like you would with a Google form, but to me, one of the coolest things about this is going to this import button. So I'm going to click import. It pulls up my Google Drive, and I'm just going to type in the rock cycle in my drive because I have a lot of documents for the rock cycle. And looking through, I'm just going to select a worksheet that we've had before. This came from our old textbooks a while back. But once I get there, it pulls in my PDF worksheet. And in the top, you'll see it says select each problem that you want to import. So I'm just going to use my mouse and drag and import that question. And it pops it right there into this practice set. I don't have to retype the question. I can just put it in here and add my answer. And again, it comes down to the skills. It's asking me, it's identifying the layers of the earth. That is the skill I'm using, so I will select it. Now when we go to try it as a student, this gives you the preview link. And this is what your students will see when they go to practice. So it'll say what type of rock is granite, and I will type in igneous. I can check it, but before I do that, if I had questions about the content, I could come over here to this little hint box, hit the little light bulb, and there's a video that Google has pulled in from YouTube about the types of rocks that may help. I didn't have to find the video. I didn't have to choose it. Google decided that that's what it could help with the students and something that they needed. You can also come up here to extra help, and it gives you an entire bank of information that goes along with what the theme of the practice questions are. So I can check my work, see if my answer is correct or not, and it is, and I can move on. Now, there's another thing that you can do with this. So if you were doing physical science, or if you're doing English and you wanted them to correct sentences, or if you're doing math, you can go to Show Work, and this has an option here where the students can use their mouse, or if it's a touch screen, they can draw and show their work here. And you as the teacher can go back and look and see what their work was. and they can erase it. So there's a lot of different options with the practice sets. This is just one that you can use, I think, for pretty much all subjects. When you're done with that, the practice sets preview, you can go back to where you were building your practice sets and keep adding them. You can also share with other teachers who have the Google practice sets, and you can share them amongst yourselves. When you go into your classroom to get this to your students, we'll just go into one of my test classes here. You would go to create an assignment, and then just choose a regular assignment. And once it's loaded, you should be able to choose your practice sets. When you click practice sets, it will pull in all of the practice set questions that you have. I have 2 rock cycles here, but if I was using different classes, if I had maybe an honors class and a CP class, I could have 2 different sets here that I could use with the students, and maybe I would need to use both sets of questions with a certain student. Maybe there was an honor student who had been out for a while and could use some of the questions from the CP class. And you can assign both of those if you wanted to. So your practice sets are housed outside of your classroom, but it's easy to access, and you can send those to all of your students if you need to. So again, practice sets, it is a beta option here in Google Classroom. You should have access to it if your Google Chrome is up to date. If you have any questions about it, please stop by the Media Center and talk to Dr. Dias or Ms. Dawson, and we will be happy to help you with this. And we hope that this is a great tool